Alright, back with another video. Today we're going to go over my personal site and how much I've gotten done thus far. This is the landing page. This is not live, this is all on my computer, so I've yet to actually purchase a domain and find hosting and then upload the stuff so that it can finally be live and for you to actually visit yourself and stuff like that, because it's not finished. But this is how it's going to probably look like when it's finally done. I've made 3 different redesigns so far, and I think I'm going to stick with this one. So, because, there's something cool about it. We got our central image being a square. We've got my name without the vowels and hyphens separating it. And then we've got this interesting nav bar type of thing. It's more of a sidebars. So there's 2 sidebars instead of having just one nav bar up here or down here or up here. I'm not sure how well this is going to work in the long term, just because what if I add more pages and stuff like that? But for now, I think this is pretty much all I'm going to have. So, I mean, maybe I don't even have to worry about that, but still, it's kind of like a thought, I guess. But yeah, just to run down the gist of everything for the most part, our homepage is obviously this one here. So that's what that does. So yeah, very simple design, just essential text about whatever the page is about for the most part. And then usually I'll have some sort of image, and then we have the text, and then we're gonna have our bars here for stuff like that. This current time widget doesn't work right now just because it's not connected to the internet. A great inspiration I took for making this is going to be from James Scholes. This is his site. It's very simple. If you open the page source code, it's very simple stuff. You just have the HTML tags to make a site, just the general basic ones, and all the data they're going to use, so the name of the title at the top being his name. He's not doing anything too fancy though. So he's got just a default, I believe this is Times New Roman, I could be wrong, font of his name, a central image, and then he has the widget. This is how the widget's going to look on my page, except it says current time in Chicago instead of time in Salt Lake City. But yeah, it's going to pretty much present like this at the bottom here, and I'm going to have it say central time because I'm in central time. You can see where I got my inspiration from when it comes to the simplicity of the site. But I also get that from the philosophy of Luke Smith, which is basically the rundown is a lot of the development on sites these days require a lot of things, and for relatively good reasons at times. But for the most part, the file sizes of these sites, when you want to go to visit them, end up using a lot of bandwidth and a lot of data and a lot of processing power on people's systems. And it's not too much of an issue, but obviously not everyone has the same system or the same processing power. People have different situations for their computational abilities with whatever hardware they're working with. And I feel like it's very cool to allow my site to be simple enough for most devices to be able to render it without much difficulty. So this site's very simple as well, because all we have going on is a title at the top and an image and a couple of text buttons. So nothing fancy, no animations here, nothing like that. So it's a very simple site. So it shouldn't take up that much computing power. It shouldn't take up that much bandwidth. So it's a very accessible site. Not that the other ones aren't, but you get the point. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's accessible to basically everybody. So I'm not sure how well this is going to translate over to mobile. So I might have to look into that, because a lot of people are using the internet on mobile these days, which, it is what it is. Not my cup of tea, but yeah. So let's just go on and show off the 2 pages that I have so far. These are all just placeholders type of stuff. They're not actually finished yet. So the links, instead of paying for a link tree or having the free model and pretty much being like everyone else, and having something in my bio that says, whatever, my name, and then linktree.com or whatever their URL is. Instead of having that, I have my own webpage, and I have a link tree on my webpage that I've created, and I'm in full control of how it looks like. So I can do whatever I want, and it's mine. So that's the cool thing about having your own website, is that you can do basically whatever you want. And yeah, you're not owned by any big tech company or anything like that. So yeah, thing to think about if that's your interest. And also, just most site builders and stuff like that, like Wix and Squarespace and all that stuff, their main attribute is that they're trying to sell you a package product so you can do all these things. And since you're paying them money, they want you to make money through their site. So they're trying to make it very accessible and very easy, and very less friction for you to be able to make your own website and create your brand and sell your product and send out your emails and all that stuff, which has its place. It's very good stuff. It's actually very accessible and all that, but it takes up a lot of computing power, a lot of bandwidth, and from my personal experience, I've never really enjoyed it. And I'm more of a person who likes to be in control of the stuff that I'm working on, stuff like that. So it's just cool for me to just have VS Code and like type all the code out by hand instead of like having to use a very slow, junky website builder. But you know, I've still used these in the past. I used to use Wix for my personal site, my portfolio site type of thing, back in middle school and like freshman year of high school. And I use Squarespace now with my sister's business. But I'm thinking about, you know, switching over to WordPress or something because it's much cheaper for what we need. And Squarespace is kind of like too overpriced for what we really need it for. And if anything, like I could just end up making her site myself, and then we just like pay for hosting in a domain. It's going to be much cheaper that way. It'll basically be free because domains are not that expensive depending on what domain you're getting. This is my link tree here. It's got my YouTube, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my GitHub. These are sort of just placeholders. I don't know if I'll keep all these because I know I'm going to keep the YouTube one there, but Instagram and LinkedIn and GitHub, not so sure. I'll probably keep them just because like I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to stick to like an alias or like just go ahead and make myself the brand, which is why the front page of the site is my name in vowels instead of it being like Hobie or 1,000 Miles North. I do like my aliases, and I do like, you know, still keeping them and using them, but in terms of like what is like the forefront of my brand and like my image, I'll probably start using my name. I'm still thinking about it, but yeah. And then just an image here of me from senior year of high school, very definitive year. This will be its own video of itself probably at some point because I'm going through that time in my life where a lot of things are kind of important to me, and it's going to end up shaping who I am as a person. And you know, that's natural and whatever, but like since I'm creatively inclined and I'm part of that generation that like grew up with the internet and not so much was raised by it, it's a very unique experience that I don't think many people had. And if they did, it was different in some other aspect. But yeah, then we have the coffee page. As you can see, just the title. And then we have my current setup. The links below are linked, or the items below are linked. And if you click on these items here, it'll take you to the Amazon page. I have to make it so that it opens in a separate tab instead of opening it in this tab, because like then it's gonna take you away from my site, and I don't want that. And not that many people are gonna be, you know, open link a new tab like I am. So yeah, we have the Chainsaw Man GIF going on here. This is pretty cool. They added that in. That's not in the manga, so it's very nice to see, you know, Mappa doing some creative work and taking liberties and adding stuff to the series to give it more content. And very cool to see the Aki is also a drip pour over coffee connoisseur as I am. But yeah, that's that. I still have to get a scale so I can, you know, dial in even further on coffee. Just coffee jargon stuff there. I'll make a video about that on that soon as well. Yeah, but yeah, I'll just go ahead and run down what the remainder of the links are going to be. The about is going to be just an about. It's probably just going to be a picture of me. It'll be there, and it'll essentially just be like a bio page, really, where it's just like, hey, this is me. I do this. I've done this. I'm known for this type of stuff. I don't know, it'll probably be like a couple sentences. I really don't know what I'm going to put yet, but that's just kind of like a default for a personal site about me. So the projects tab is just going to be more like a portfolio. Library and music are sort of going to be two separate pages that'll have, you know, the music that I'm into and stuff like that. And then the other one will be like, you know, movies, animation, books, and like series that I'm reading. So it's really just a place to sort of like have like a board of just like all of these things that I've like read or watched that I really liked or listened to, and sort of just like give more personality to my site. And it's also just cool to be able to like, again, have your own site and post whatever you want and format it the way you want, and just like do, you know, like you have all these creative freedoms to basically express yourself and have your own corner of the internet. That's the tragedy of the internet. The failure of it was that everyone was supposed to become their own landlord, but we're in a very social media driven landscape now where everyone's sort of like on someone else's platform. So yeah, so that's why you should make your own site and figure out what you could use it for, because it's a very cool thing to be able to say that you own a part of the internet, basically, instead of just being a resident of someone else's part of the internet. The example being, you know, I have an Instagram, but Instagram isn't mine, but I also have a website and the website is mine. So that's just like a very basic and general way of explaining that. The watches page is just going to be a place where I'll put watches, because I do want to get into watches. There's something kind of cool that I've finally understood about watches that I can't really put into words, but I guess a very general basic way of putting it is that it's sort of like the uniqueness of like time being a precious and like valuable thing, and so having like a symbolic, you know, physical object that you're wearing on you as a person kind of like gives you some sort of like power over time, but also like an acknowledgement of time's power over you. I don't know. There's just something cool about watches now, apart from obviously they look good. But like I used to think like, oh, why would I spend money on a watch? But now it's just like, oh, I understand why people like watches now. So That's a very like sort of profound way of explaining watches and why I'm into it and why I'm gonna have it on my page, but you get the point, I guess, hopefully. But right now I don't have that many watches, so it's really just like a placeholder. So it's just gonna be like a site that's not ready to be put up there yet. But I put it there just so that there's like some symmetry on the site. So yeah, that's how the site looks like now. I don't know if I'll really stay like that forever. I still have to work on a way to make the nav bar at the bottom here, because there's obviously stuff missing from that nav bar here. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna format that yet, and I have to make a web server so that I can work on it and use PHP so that I can like just make the nav bar once and then link that to every page instead of having to like update every page every time I make something, every time I make a change to the nav bar. So yeah, that's my personal site, and I'll let you know when it's finally ready for everybody to see it and it's live and all that stuff, and it'll start being linked in my description, because that's another thing I want to do. I have my links right here on my site, but I'm also gonna have my links in my description because that's a YouTuber thing to do. So I got to do that, you know. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.